Hello Internet, welcome to this video. In this video, I will be driving to my bank. Listening to YouTube channels.
I leave for a month and you guys change everything.
First though,
Loving my new room. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
before I really get into the watching videos and zoning out watching YouTube videos, I do want to talk about some subliminal results that I feel like I have been able to see. Of course, as you guys may or may not know, I have been listening to subliminals since about the end of June, beginning of July, right about through there. So a hot second, and like I've started being vocal about it and like sharing results and stuff. And I don't like using the results like this, but I know how some people perceive subliminals. So that's why I do use the air quotes. But I have seen genuine results in my opinion. For example, in my opinion, this shirt looks good on me all of a sudden, which is great, because this shirt is a large. I can fit into it again. I haven't really been able to fit into my large shirts since I started wearing my large shirts. And I feel like it actually looks really good. Like there's not like a ton of like extra access and whatnot. Like it just looks like a dope shirt. And this is the large that I wear. I went through a phase where I was like, I'm gonna have all my clothes super fitted and stuff, like actually my size. And during that phase, I bought this shirt, I bought a Beth Phoenix shirt, I bought a Kimura black shirt, and they were all larges. And when I like would wear them, they'd be like so tight, but it's not like tight anymore. It actually feels like really good. It's actually kind of like loose, like, and it's really great, honestly. Like it makes me like really excited because I feel I am seeing results from my weight loss subliminals. I definitely have to wear a bra with this shirt though, which is whatever, like women wear bras. Because if I don't, my boobs are just like bam, like they are like very prominent if I don't have like a bra on underneath, or at least a bralette. So I am wearing a bralette from MeUndies. I love MeUndies and Tomboy. Tomboy did like a whole Pride collection and stuff, and I had seen them on Facebook and Instagram, and I was like, I'll check them out, why not? And so I checked them out, and they're actually really dope. I really liked them. Yeah, so I'm currently wearing a MeUndies one because it's very lightweight material, and like it is still, yesterday's video talked about how it's cold in the morning but hot like during the day, so it's starting to get a little bit more hot outside now, and I just want to not be sweating so much. Oh, and my hair is definitely growing. This part right here, I don't like what it does though when it air dries. I'm very against like straighteners and curling irons and blow dryers. I am very against that type of stuff because I don't want to damage my hair, especially because it's taken so long for me to grow so much of it back. From after I cut it the first time, it's the longest it's ever been, especially in the back. It goes down to like the top of my back, which is really great. But I am considering talking to my aunt about if she does have any like straighteners or anything, because, or like a blow dryer that I can use, because my hair takes 2 to 3 hours to dry. I showered today approximately at 7, and it is currently 9:30 where I live. This video comes out at 5 a.m. Because I figured these videos are better to come out first and then all the video game stuff. But in real time, I showered at 7 and it's 9:30 and the back of my hair is still wet. My hair is not fully dry yet. And I know working at a new job and getting a new position and stuff, I don't want to look like I'm like coming up and don't care because my hair is still wet and stuff. It just literally takes forever to dry, and I don't want to look unprofessional because I'm coming in with my hair still drying, you know? But I also like, and I know there's an easy solution to that, like get up earlier so like you can give your hair sufficient time to dry. Like that would require me to get up at 3 a.m. for my hair to dry. And that doesn't really work because it takes like 2 to 3 hours for my hair to start like looking dry. It doesn't actually like dry for a hot second. And then this fucking part right here, I hate it. It always tries to do something weird. That's the only part of my hair I hate. I hate like, because this side like cool, smooth, feather. This part's like, I'm gonna be nappy. Like, I don't know what it does. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, anyway, now I'm going to listen to my YouTube videos. I just wanted to give you guys some subliminal updates in regards to, I guess I do have more. In regards to my eyes, I think they look stunning and gorgeous. As always, I feel like my eyes, they're not like the ice blue that I want, but they are still a really pretty shade of blue, which is great. I know you guys can't tell because I wear glasses most of the time, but hey. Regards to hair, I haven't like, all the hair on my arms and stuff is still white, and I noticed it has been like falling out and shit, and like the hair on my face has not really stopped growing back. So I'm not sure how much results I'm seeing from the hair subliminal that I use in regards to like hair loss. Not hair loss, but in regards to like, I don't want body hair and shit. Like, I don't know how much reaction and how much whatnot I'm seeing from that. I'm still confident that it will work. I'm just hoping it takes a little bit more time to work, because I am seeing a bunch of my other subliminals work, and I'm like, yes, like really excited. I do have a doctor's appointment coming up, and they weigh me at my doctor's appointment, so I will know for sure on the day of my doctor's appointment if I have actually lost weight. I definitely feel like I have. I haven't been able to fit into my large shirts in a while, and like I'm not sucking in, I'm not nothing, I don't have Spanx on, like it is just me, which is great. In regards to my singing voice, today's a rough day, honestly. I feel like as someone who has just known singers and kind of just jokingly sang my entire life, I know that some days are better than others. And today is not a good day for me. I was trying to sing in the shower, and I didn't have like my music on with me in the shower, and I was like, I'm sounding a little rough today. Because I was trying to do God is a Woman by Ariana Grande, and it just, I heard myself and I was like, I'm kind of done. So yeah. So I'm gonna watch YouTube now.
Sims timeline, or, well, timelines, thanks to the Sims 4. So get ready, because we are about to turn your plumb bob from red to green. Oh, and we gotta give a shout out to our sponsor, Audible. Stay tuned at the end of the video for some Audible recommendations inspired by the Sims. Keeping making it simple. Let's start out by putting the games in chronological order. Going by the lore, the game's timeline starts off with Sims 3, which is set around 1954. Then, circa 1979, we get the first Sims. And 25 years after that, we get to Sims 2, which is set in 2004. So how do we know that? It's all based off of the one hard date we know. Bella Goth's abduction, which takes place in 2004. The items and clothes in the Sims franchise seem to suggest that the Sims games take place in the 90s, 2000s, or even later. Throughout the games, there are futuristic items available too, but this seems more like a fun aesthetic option rather than any kind of official year marker. Obviously, Sims Medieval would have come first because, you know, it takes place back when dragons and druidesses were things your Sims had to contend with. Back then, the beloved Flush Force XLT5 was but a distant dream. But Sims Medieval is a spin-off, so we're not going to focus on it as part of the main timeline. Just know that it informs the events of Sims 1 through 4. And yes, most of that lore involves the infamous land grab family. But wait, why isn't Sims 4 part of that little breakdown? Well, long story short, it exists in an alternate universe with its own separate timeline. See, when The Sims 4 comes out, it's all, oh yeah, the events of the last 3 games were getting a little crowded, so this one takes place in an alternate timeline. As loopy as that sounds, it's totally viable within the world of The Sims. Maxis, the Sims developers, included time machines in the Sims 3 expansion pack Into the Future. So there could be any number of alternate Sims timelines. Can you even blame them for introducing time travel? I think way too many characters died in the previous 3 games for Maxis to bother keeping track of. I guess we have Olive, low-key serial killer, Spectre, to thank for that. Alternate timelines make this discussion a little tricky, but what are you gonna do? For this video, I am going to set up the world of The Sims, then go into the major families' histories, and then touch on Sims 4 and how it shakes things up at the end. Even though The Sims 3 is set in the 50s, there's plenty of Sims lore that goes back way further. So, time for a crash course in Sim history. We know that dinosaurs existed in Appaloosa Plains long before the Sims were running around making woohoo with each other all over Sim Nation. If it's anything like our world, that would have been like millions of years ago. I'm not good at math. We also know that nectar, created by Jean Nectois, alleged descendant of Anastasia Nectois, is over 6,000 years old. In Sims 3 World Adventures, you could win bottles of 6,000-year-old nectar as a prize for an adventure. We also know from Sims 3 World Adventures that the land of Al-Samhara has existed for at least 3,000 years, while the lands of Shang Simla and Champlain Sims have been around for almost as long. Now that I mention it, Admiral Landgrab was probably born in Champlain Sims because of the whole Napoleon vibe. Eventually, he found the land that exists in Sims Medieval. Once there, he lived it up to his name, building an empire and the wealth that comes with an empire by stealing other people's land and warring over territory. His descendants would carry on his dickish legacy, but we'll get to them later. In the 17th century, a painter named, what else? Judith Painter was making art until she leapt from a tower with 2 critics. I know. She first appears in SimCity 4, and I said we were sticking with the base games. But hear me out. You can buy her self-portrait in The Sims Living Large, and in The Sims 2, you can buy a painting from her descendant, Olive Painter. Let's just say she's in both timelines. Cool? Cool. Speaking of controversial female Sims, we also know that there was a pirate queen in the 1700s named Mad Mary MacArthur. You can find her buried pirate booty on Vacation Island in The Sims Vacation. About 300 years before the start of The Sims 3, a group of monks found the area called Starlight Shores, the Hollywood of Sim Nation. Sometime thereafter, Sims University was built, and then, at the turn of the century, Ebenezer Alto founded Bridgeport. Pre-1950. Before the events of Sims 3 go down, a few notable things happen. First of all, Mamie Rugburn may have abandoned her family during this time, but it's kind of neither here nor there. As an already dead, non-playable character, Mamie isn't the most exciting Sim around. At some point, the Goths moved from the old country to Sim City, and Gunther, the Goth patriarch, found Sunset Valley. Most excitingly, Don Lothario, the storied Sim playboy, arrives in Riverview using time travel. Also, right before The Sims 3 starts, prototype Simoid robots called Simbots begin to appear all over the place. These will be the basis for the servos that appear in later games. 1950 to 1970. A few key things happen in the 20-odd years between The Sims 3 and the first Sims game. The Alto family from Sims 3 completely disappears. Where they went and why they left are still unknown at the start of The Sims 1. But there's no need to get suspicious. This is likely a development-related issue, since The Sims came out before The Sims 3 and the Alto story wasn't fleshed out yet. Maxis probably just forgot about them. The Landgraf family also leaves, but their name is still plastered all over several businesses in The Sims. They're still making money off of these holdings. Typical Landgrabian behavior, making all the money with none of the work. Other than Skip, all of the Brokes leave town, as does the Curious family. The Curious family is headed out to Strange Town in the hopes of making further scientific breakthroughs, for better or worse. Unfortunately, it seems this move is ultimately for the worse. Lauren Curious gets abducted by aliens shortly after they leave Twinbrook. Michael Batchelor goes off to college and gets his degree, and Mortimer Goth creates Elixir of Life, which extends a Sim's life in the life stage they're currently in. Herb and Coral Oldie get to be the first Sims besides Old Morty to give it a swig, and lo and behold, during this time, servos come out to the mass market courtesy of a company called Shiny Things Inc. Before The Sims 2. 25 years later, Mortimer Goth reaches the top of the science career and retires. Unfortunately, his wife Bella Goth gets abducted, so he probably doesn't get to enjoy his retirement all that much. The night that Bella is abducted, Nina and Dina Caliente arrive in Pleasantview, and at some point, Pollination Technician 9, an alien, decides to quit his man-impregnating ways and start a human-ish family in Strangetown. Oh, also, roverbots and hoverbots are invented, and servos make a comeback. Only now they're fully self-aware AIs and not just robot companions to boss around. Family timelines. All right, now that we've got some context about the world, we can talk about the families. Let's start with your favorite and mine, the Goth family. Bella Goth was originally born into the Batchelor family. During her childhood in Sims 3, she's best friends with Mortimer Goth. Over the years leading up to the first Sims, she and Mortimer got married and had their daughter, Cassandra Goth. By the time we see the Goths in Sims 2, Bella and Mortimer have had their second born, their son, Alexander. But when Sims 2 starts, you notice that the Goth family has been whittled down to just Cassandra and Alexander. And more importantly, Bella Goth has gone missing. Bella Goth was last seen with Lothario, who is engaged to Cassandra Goth, her daughter. He tries to kiss her and she rejects him. There are a lot of theories as to what happened to her after that. Don Lothario may have killed her and buried her in his backyard, since Lothario's backyard is the only one with dead grass in it. The Caliente sisters may have killed her, or was she abducted by aliens? The promotional images for Sims 2 show her looking through a telescope, which is how all the Sims get abducted by aliens. The Goth's memories of Bella also show her getting abducted, so that's a strong possibility. But then, she's in Strangetown in Sims 2. However, she doesn't remember anything from her past life, and knows nothing about her family in the next town over. Her DNA is blank too. Some people claim she's a clone, but it's probably just because of some alien tampering. They must have scrambled her memories along with her DNA. At least things work out for her in the Sims 4 timeline. She's still happily married to Mortimer and lives with him and their 2 kids. The Calientes. When the Calientes first appear in Sims 2, they're suspicious from the get-go. Most of the Caliente family is already dead by this time, starting with the family's patriarch, Nestor Caliente, and his wife, Dulcinea. They have 2 children, Flamenco and Tango, but only Tango is fully related to Dulcinea. See, Nestor was abducted and impregnated by Pollination Technician 7, and that's how Flamenco was born. Tango never has kids, but Flamenco marries Naihat al-Mahmoud, and they have 2 children, Nina and Dina Caliente. Naihat is rumored to have died after trying to drink the Elixir of Life when her aspiration levels were too low, but this hasn't been confirmed. Naihat's fate is up in the air, but the real mystery of the Calientes revolves around Nina and Dina. The twins appear in Strangetown on the evening of Bella Goth's disappearance. That timing is already suspicious, but the twins are both seeing Don Lothario, who was the last person to have seen Bella Goth before she disappeared. Also, Dina married Bella Goth's brother, Michael Batchelor, not long before he died. Was she after more of that Batchelor family money? The world may never know. Anyway, let's move on to a family that's a little more pleasant. The Pleasants! Less and kind of pleasant, the patriarch and matriarch of the Pleasant family are already deceased when The Sims 2 starts. We don't really know much about them except what their ironic, punny names can tell us. They were grumps. The first Pleasants we meet in The Sims 1 are Jeff Pleasant, Diane Pleasant, Daniel, and Jennifer. Jeff's big dream is to be the first Sim ever to reach Mars, but he unfortunately doesn't. It's actually an in-joke with Maxis about a game that was never released called Sim Mars. No wonder it was never released. That double N is hard to say. Diane is a full-time stay-at-home mom, and she's a social climber. Jennifer and Daniel grow up and marry their partners in The Sims 2. Jennifer's side of the family is a little less exciting than Daniel's side of the family, though. Daniel marries a career-focused woman named Mary Sue. Daniel cheats on Mary Sue with Kaylin Langerak, and Mary Sue will usually catch him cheating. Somebody cue up Adele. Despite all this, Daniel and Mary Sue have 2 twin daughters, Lilith and Angela. Angela, unsurprisingly, is the nice twin. She's a good student and and she's well behaved. But in The Sims 2, she's dating Dustin Broke, who is her complete opposite. He's poor, and her dad Daniel hates him at the beginning of the game. I don't know what Angela sees in Dustin, but hey, it's not my place to judge. On the other hand, Lilith is the troublemaking daughter, and she's dating a star student named Dirk Dreamer. I don't know what Dirk sees in Lilith, but hey, it's not my place to judge. Unless we're talking about the Landgrab family. In that case, the Landgrab family. We all know and hate the Landgrabs, don't we? They're the wealthiest Sims, and they're evil colonizers with a sketchy background at best. In Sims Medieval, Demetrius and Dacian Landgrab are at war with the neighboring city. In SimCity 3000, their last name is on several buildings. In The Sims Vacation, there is a mention of Admiral Landgrab, who acquired one of the vacation spots in Colonial Holdings. In The Sims 3, there are Nancy and Jeffrey Landgrab. Jeffrey married into the family, but Nancy's parents are Chester and Queenie Landgrab. Queenie died in a fire when she was very young. Malcolm Landgrab is their son, and while Nancy wants him to grow up to be a real estate mogul like the rest of the family, he wants to be a doctor. Unfortunately, this Malcolm dies young, when his son Malcolm is only a child. He's still rich though. You can take the parents out of a Landgrab's life, but you can't take their huge inheritance. The Broke family. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have the Broke family. At the start of The Sims 3, the Broke family lives in a trailer in Riverview. The matriarch and patriarch, Flo and Flat Broke, have 2 kids, Ruby and Skip. Flat's brother Buck and his 2 kids, Trigger and Susie, also live with them in the same trailer. Everyone in this family is pretty sloppy and lazy, except for young Skip Broke, who is the black sheep of the family. There's also another Broke that appears in Sims 3, but she doesn't associate with the Broke family. Her name is Octavia Broke, and she's homeless and super smart. The Broke family doesn't really appear in The Sims 1 much, except for Skip, who marries Brandy Newby and moves into the Newby household. Then in The Sims 2, Bob and Betty Newby suddenly die, and Skip and Brandy Broke have to move into a trailer. They had 2 children, Dustin and Bo Broke. Brandy then gets pregnant with herself using the Tombstone of Life and Death. Yeah, so apparently that's the way to generate a clone of yourself, as long as you're cool with that clone being the opposite gender of you. That sounds like some wild science, but it gets a whole lot weirder. Just wait for the Curious family. You know, the only thing they can't get over is a rigid concept of gender, but Maxis did release a patch for Sims 4 that allows you to manually build your own transgender and gender-fluid Sims. But there's not much in the way of gender-bendy lore yet. Anyway, shortly after Brandy Broke impregnates herself, her husband Skip drowns in their pool. It's all because he can't get out without the ladder. The details around his death are murky and suspicious, and many people believe that Brandy killed her husband. Because Skip is high in the romance trait, it's possible that he was cheating on Brandy, and when she found out, she removed the ladder from the pool to punish him for running around on her. There's also the theory that she killed him for the insurance money, given that all of the decor in her room is pretty pricey. But if that was her motive, the joke's on her. By the end of the game, she's still, well, dead broke. The Curious family. The Curious family is an important one, particularly for the dealings with aliens. In The Sims 3, Marshall and Cherish Curious have a child named Notso. Marshall's research at the science facility leads to interactions with aliens in Strangetown in The Sims 2. Notso's son, Glarn Curious, was abducted by before the events of The Sims 2. He became pregnant with PT9's babies, Lola and Chloe Singles. Glarn then abandons the 2 Sim alien girls with his wife, Glaive. Glarn goes on to marry Kitty Hogleg and has 4 children with her, Laszlo, Pascal, Vidkund, and Jenny. Glarn dies shortly before PT9 impregnates Pascal with alien hybrids, just like him. And Jenny ends up marrying PT9. Wait, isn't PT9 technically their grandparent? I warned you. Things got weird with the Curious family. I am just glad that Glarn wasn't around to have to see that Pascal is friends with Nervous Subject and dislikes the Beakers because they're using him as a test subject. Speaking of which, let's step into their lab, shall we? The Beakers. The Beaker family runs experiments on a Sim named Nervous Subject. You know, Pascal's friend. Cersei Beaker and Loki Beaker are the first 2 members of the family we meet in The Sims 2. In The Sims 3, Loki is a child with a sister, Erin. He lives with his parents, Gundren and Bjorn, in Aurora Skies. Gundren and Bjorn were pioneers of the technology that makes Sim Nation a modern place to live. They moved to Strangetown in The Sims 2, and Loki and his wife Cersei began to torture Nervous Subject on the daily. Turns out that Nervous Subject is Olive Specter's child, now grown up after having been taken away by the social workers. There's actually a theory out there that the Beakers cloned the original Nervous Subject, since the Nervous Subject in the Beaker household has no memories of Olive Specter. But there is an even darker theory around Nervous Subject and the Specter family. The Spectres. The Spectre family is one of the more interesting families in the Simverse. Olive Spectre lives with her son, Nervous Subject, in The Sims 3. By The Sims 2, Olive and her niece, Ophelia Nigmos, live alone in Strangetown at the very ominous address of 13 Dead End Lane. In The Sims 2, we find out that Olive woohooed with the Grim Reaper, and since we don't know who Nervous Subject's father is, well, it's safe to say that Death is his father. Pretty metal, even for a dude with a mohawk. But Olive isn't your run-of-the-mill sim either. She lives next to a family plot, which is full of sims that Olive would have reason to kill. So saying that Olive is a serial killer isn't too much of a leap. Maybe she's just trying to send her love to her dear old Grim Reaper. It wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's happened in Sim Nation. I mean, that honor goes to the Curious family. Now, I've introduced you to a whole bunch of charismatic, troubling, and downright strange Sims. But you can run into plenty of characters in real life, too. In Chavisa Witz's book, Things to Do When You're Goth in the Country, you can channel your inner Bella Goth as you read stories about people who are living on the outskirts of society. Plus, she won a Lambda Award for the book, so you know it's good. And even better, it's included as part of your Audible membership. Or maybe you're more of a Pollination Technician 9 fan. That's cool, and I respect you. I also want you to know that I
So let me just say something real quick before the next video starts talking about Avatar. The fuck? Honestly, I had no idea that The Sims was so deep. Like, honestly, I had no idea that The Sims were so fucking deep. Like, I always thought that The Sims was just a really fun, lighthearted game. Apparently, it's not. Apparently, it's not. What the fuck? That, like, completely has, like, blown my mind. Like, I had no idea The Sims, of all games, had so much just insane lore behind it. I thought it was just a fuckery game. Shit, like, I'm confused. I am confuzzled. Yeah. Officially. Now I'm gonna watch a video about Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's about Avatar something. I can't read while driving.
Avatar Kyoshi.
Avatar Kyoshi
has one of the most expanded and interesting stories of any Avatar so far. We just got a ton of new details on her character, and we now know her origin story, which is incredibly interesting and complex. In this video, I'm going to go over Kyoshi's origin and gather all of the information that we have on her to explain her life. Now, there will be spoilers for both series, a few novels, and some comic books, so there's your warning. Now, let's get started. Let's first start with her heritage. Her mother, Jessa, was an air nomad nun who became a master airbender and was highly regarded. On a journey through the Earth Kingdom, she met Kyoshi's father, Hark. He came from a distinguished and impoverished line of Earth Kingdom actors. One day he dragged Jessa into a scheme, and she fell in love with him and the life of an outlaw. She tattooed serpents over her arrows, and the two founded the Flying Opera Company, a group part of the Delphi, one of the most powerful crime networks at the time. The two eventually had Kyoshi, and she naturally inherited her father's Earth Kingdom side, rather than her mother's air nomad side, which might partially be because Jessa suffered from a spiritual taint due to betraying her air nomad way, forcing her to use fans as weapons rather than her tainted airbending. Having a daughter made Jessa and Hark stop committing crimes, and instead, they traveled the world as a family, never staying in one place for too long. After about 5 or 6 years of this, however, they decided they wanted to get back into the crime world, and abandoned a 5-year-old Kyoshi in a village called Yokoya. They left her with a chest that encased Jessa's fans, headdress, and makeup that she used on jobs, and left her Jessa's journal that explained all about the Delphi and their customs. Though they left her with some villagers, Kyoshi was thrown on the street shortly after they flew away, left all alone to become an orphan. She suffered a great deal, forced to eat garbage to survive, scrape her head on ice to relieve a burning fever, not having medicine. And the people she blamed for this? Her parents. She believed that this was all their fault. After 2 years alone on the streets, Yokoya was visited by Jianzu and Kelsang, who were searching for the Avatar. The world had gone 7 years since Avatar Kurek had died, and had yet to find the next Avatar. Kyoshi stumbled in on them, and they allowed her to take the air nomad version of the test to find out if she was the Avatar. If she picked up 3 specific toys out of a selection, she was the Avatar, though Jianzu had his doubts, thinking that she was too old, judging by how incredibly tall she was. The first one she picked was one of the 3, but before she picked up the last 2, she ran off with the toy. The two did not give a second thought to an orphan girl being the Avatar, and later they found a boy named Yun, who they thought to be Kurik's reincarnation. Kelsang, an air nomad who did not hold grudges the way Jianzu did, tracked Kyoshi down to her hiding place, and realizing that she was homeless and had no one, he took her in. When he took her, she brought with her the case and journal that her mother had left her, though she refused to open either at this time. Kelsang was in Yokoya a lot to take care of Kyoshi, but sometimes he would leave for long periods of time. When he left, he provided money to various farming families to look after Kyoshi, but once when he returned to see that she had lost weight and had not been taken care of properly, he promised Kyoshi that he would not leave for such a long period of time again. Jianzu built a huge mansion in Yokoya, made special for the Avatar, and Kelsang, now seen as Kyoshi's adoptive father, convinced Jianzu to let her work in the mansion as a servant so she would never be malnourished again. Even though she lived in the mansion, however, her life wasn't perfect. She was still an outcast, even among the other servants and townfolk, often getting bullied and harassed. Her insane height did not help things either, giving the other kids yet another thing to pick on her for. Once when she was 10, she fell asleep in the yard and woke up to fireworks going off. She ran away, worried that she would be blamed for it, and though she knew that was ridiculous, that was the way her mind worked after being tossed aside for so long. Another time, she longed to fly a kite like the rest of the kids, but she did not have the money or supplies to do so. To make her feel better, Kelsang tied a rope around himself and used his glider to become her very own kite, something that made Kyoshi realize how lucky she was to have Kelsang. Though Kyoshi was an earthbender, she could only move large rocks, unable to bend smaller ones, something that was the opposite for most young earthbenders. Kyoshi thought that this was partially because her gigantic hands could not control such small rocks, and because of this, she gave up trying to earthbend altogether. At the mansion, Kyoshi became friends with Yun, the boy everyone believed to be the Avatar, when she was hired to clean up after him. She also became friends with a firebender named Rangi, who was the daughter of Yun's firebending teacher, and was assigned as the Avatar's official guard should something go wrong. The three all lived in the mansion and got in all kinds of trouble together. Rangi always encouraged Kyoshi to fight back when she was bullied, and though Kyoshi did not know it at the time, Rangi encouraged this because she knew about Kyoshi's homelessness. Kyoshi had a special connection with Yun that went past friendship. She would often help him sort through the many gifts sent to him as the Avatar, and one night while sorting gifts, Yun had his head on her lap. The two nearly kissed, but stopped themselves before it happened, knowing it would not work as they were from two different worlds, and even more, they knew it would be a huge scandal, the Avatar and a servant girl. Though she had hard times, Kyoshi was happy with her life. She had a father figure, two incredible friends, and a purpose in her life as a servant. Everything changed one night, however, when Kyoshi recited a poem that Kelsang's old friend and Kyoshi's past life recited many times. Kelsang put two and two together, and now believed that Kyoshi was the Avatar, and that choosing Yun was a huge mistake. The thought of this horrified Kyoshi, though she pushed it down, as she and Kelsang agreed that they should keep this between the two of them, and not tell anyone else for now. One day when Kyoshi and Yun were together, he asked her if she would accompany him when he met with the Fifth Nation, a group of pirates led by Takaga. She of course agreed, and before going, she got an incredible green and heavily padded uniform. The meeting ended up going wrong, and Takaga and her forces ambushed them. Yun was captured, and his forces were unable to save him, as they were in the South Pole, away from any Earth to bend. Kyoshi came through in a shocking display of power, lifting Earth from far under the sea floor, something that even the most powerful Earthbenders could not do, and she destroyed Takaga's fleet. This turned the tide in the battle, as the rest of their forces were freed, were able to rescue Yun, and finished off Takaga's forces. After this, Jianzu went from seeing Kyoshi as a servant girl to the all-powerful Avatar that could bring him power and riches. He immediately relieved her of her servant duties, and started treating her like royalty, the same way he treated Yun. After both Yun and Kyoshi failed to show their firebending, Jianzu took drastic measures by taking them to a remote village on Kelsang's bison, Peng Peng. Even though he told them that they were simply going to commune with a suffering spirit, he lit incense that poisoned both of them, making it so they could not move. While they were immobile, Jianzu asked a dangerous spirit which of them was the Avatar. The spirit needed blood from both of them to know for sure, and when it went for Kyoshi, Yun fought off the poison and pushed her out of the way. Despite their efforts though, the spirit got both of their blood and told the three of them that Kyoshi was the Avatar. Finding this out, Jianzu saved Kyoshi and let the spirit take Yun, sealing the cave to trap both the spirit and Yun inside. Kyoshi screamed in anguish over losing her friend and bended another element besides Earth for the first time, spitting fire out of her mouth. She tried to go after Jianzu, but he gagged her using earthbending and nearly suffocated her, but let her go at the last minute. Kelsang then appeared and told Kyoshi to run as he fought Jianzu. Jianzu ended the fight quickly, however, earthbending sharp and thin rocks, taking the life of the person that Kiyoshi saw was her father right in front of her. Kiyoshi, enraged and blanketed in sorrow, entered the Avatar state for the first time. She destroyed the small village, burying Jianzu under it, though he saved himself by going beneath the ground. She left him there and fled on Peng Peng, going back to the mansion in Nagoya. When Kiyoshi was met by Rangi, she told her what had happened and said that she was leaving. Kiyoshi packed her mother's case and journal and took the green uniform she had worn while facing Takaga. Before leaving, she broke open her mother's chest for the first time to find metal war fans, a matching headdress, and a set of makeup. When she went to escape on Peng Peng, Rangi stood there and told her friend that she was going with her, as she would not last an hour without her. Kiyoshi was in so much pain and promised that she would get revenge on Jianzu for taking Kelsang and Yun from her. She sought power, knowing that she could not defeat him on her own. But the problem was that Jianzu's influence was everywhere, and if she made one wrong move or sought out one wrong person, the two would be sent right back to him in a snap. Instead, she read her mother's journal and found out about the Dao fight. She realized that the only people that could aid her in this fight were criminals, and judging by her mother's journal, the Dao fight had immense power and influence that could give her training for all 4 elements. She was crazed with revenge and did not want to learn the 4 elements because she was the Avatar, but simply because she wanted Jianzu dead by her hand. She followed the journal's instructions and met Lek, Kirima, Wong, and Lao Ji, her parents' old gang, part of the Flying Opera Company. She was very disappointed to hear, however, that was the extent of the army that she saw. A waterbender, 2 young earthbenders, and 1 very old earthbender. Eventually, the 6 of them were forced to escape from local police, and Kiyoshi was very impressed with their skills, being able to dust step, essentially using their element, whether it be earth or water, to make it look like they were walking on thin air. Kiyoshi was not as graceful, resorting to using her giant body to crash through building after building. While running, Kiyoshi's breath came to a standstill as she noticed how beautiful Rangi was, illuminated by moon and fire, though she had to push that down for now to escape. Eventually they all flew away on Peng Peng, and this was a milestone in Kiyoshi's journey, as she now had her very own Team Avatar. As the truth came out about Kiyoshi's mother being an air nomad and that her parents were criminals, Rangi was hurt and upset with Kiyoshi for not telling her the truth, and she punished her by forcing her to go through intense and rigoring firebending stances. With Jianzu after her, Kiyoshi knew she had to master all of the elements if she stood a chance of taking him down, and asked if Kirima, Lek, and Wong would help train her. To do this, they told her she had to take an oath to make her an official Dao Phi, essentially swearing that she would be a criminal for the rest of her life. Kiyoshi agreed to the disapproval and disappointment of Rangi. Meanwhile, without the knowledge of the others, she sought out Lao Ji, knowing that he was a secret assassin while reading her mother's journal. She asked Lao Ji to help train her in the art of killing, which he agreed to do. The group went to a secret criminal village, unknown to law-abiders, as the Dao Phi called them. While there, Rangi participated in a Lei Tai, a one-on-one fight, and she purposefully looked Kiyoshi right in the eyes as she let herself get punched in the face, which was agony for Kiyoshi to watch. Luckily, Rangi got up and broke the guy's leg very badly, winning the fight. Rangi later explained to Kiyoshi that she did that so Kiyoshi would know how it felt to watch someone she loved constantly put themselves in danger, which Kiyoshi had been doing to Rangi this whole mission. She told Kiyoshi that she wished she could give her what she deserved, and said that if she was doing her job of protecting Kiyoshi, that she would not feel scared, but only loved. Kiyoshi told Rangi that she did feel loved, and took a leap of faith, leaning in and kissing her, something that gave her more happiness than anything ever had before. While in the criminal village, they met Mach, who gave them an assignment to rescue one of their brothers locked up by an Earth Kingdom governor named Tae. Before leaving for this jailbreak mission, they were met by a Shirshu sent by Jianzu, and they were forced to flee. After the incident, the Flying Opera Company became suspicious as to why it was after them, and Kiyoshi and Rangi came clean about Kiyoshi being the Avatar. At first, they did not believe her, but when Kirima bended water in her direction, Kiyoshi, using her mother's fans, waterbended for the first time, stopping the water right in front of her. This revelation, and the fact that they had to break a man out of a highly fortified prison, kicked Kiyoshi's training into high gear, and she was put through rigorous earthbending training from Lek, firebending training from Rangi, waterbending training from Kirima, training to use her mother's fans from Wong, and unknown to the others, assassin training from Lao Ji. Before she started waterbending training, however, Rangi was nervous about the cycle of the elements. She explained that to maintain balance, you must learn the elements in a certain order, and for Kiyoshi, she started with earth, should then go to fire, then air, and finally, water. So through a lot of trial and error, Rangi forced her to airbend once before starting her training with Kirima. After she did this, she could feel Kelsang smiling at her with love from above. Her mother's fans made bending much easier, and they became a part of who she was as a warrior, and an extension of her arm in a fight with or without bending. Before the jailbreak, the team prepared for combat, and Kiyoshi donned her mother's headpiece to go with her fans, and all of them used the face paint and makeup that was in her mother's chest. They all wore white and red face paint, along with some black coal. White symbolized treachery, a sinister nature, suspicion of others, and a willingness to visit evil deeds, while red symbolized honor, loyalty, heroism, and showed the trust the group had in each other. This was the start of Kiyoshi's iconic look. While planning for the jailbreak, Lao Ji told Kiyoshi in their private meetings that they weren't just going to rescue this man, but they were also going to kill Tae, the Earth Kingdom ruler holding him hostage. While before, Kiyoshi was all about killing, she had a change of heart. During the jailbreak, she made it her own personal mission to save as many lives as possible. Mach, the person that sent them on this mission, sent his own forces on the opposite side of the fortress, and Kiyoshi created a moat to separate Mach's forces from Tae's guards, ensuring there would be as little casualties as possible. She then went with Lao Ji to confront Tae, but instead of killing Tae, she shot Lao Ji flying back with some impressive airbending and fled the fortress with Tae. She met up with Lek, Kirima, Wong, and Rangi, who had successfully freed the prisoner. When they brought the prisoner to Mach, they were horrified to find out that he was Yu Ping-an, the thought-dead leader of the Yellownecks, one of the biggest criminal gangs in history. The group left, now being free of their debt to Mach, but Kiyoshi, who had learned so much from her journey, decided they had to keep watch on the newly reformed Yellownecks. They flew above them on Peng Peng, being camouflaged by a cloud they...
I'm home. Love you guys. Bye.